So, welcome again to another book series. We're going to talk about a book today that I talked about briefly in another book series, but I feel as though this book had really opened my eyes to the way that I have been doing a lot of things in myself, the way that I have been self-sabotaging things for myself. And I feel like it can help a lot of other individuals when you read this book and when you read the book objectively. This is another book by Napoleon Hill. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Apparently, it was written back in the 1930s. However, it didn't come out until 2005, if I'm not mistaken. When you look at the book, Outwitting the Devil, there are many different ways that you can get this book. Now, it was, I believe, has additional narrators, which is Sharon Lecter. Nothing against her personally, but the version that includes her in the book, I do not favor that version. You can find it on Audible. And if you listen to it with that version, she gives her insight, her point of view. And what I've discovered from this book, Outwitting the Devil, is that you have to gain your own sight, your own point of view with it. And this is perhaps because when I initially listened to it, I just listened to strictly the interview without the interjections from Sharon Lecter. Like I said, this is nothing against her personally, but you can look at the reviews that are on Audible as well. Another thing about this book, it is a great book to kind of reflect on how you got into the position that you got into, meaning if it's a negative train of thought, and it's a great educator on how to get out of that negative train of thought through time and through practice. I feel as though that was something that helped me greatly. One thing it talks about in this book is hypnotic rhythm. Hypnotic rhythm is a natural law through which nature fixes the vibration of all environments. Is that true? That is the question that is asked in the interview. And the answer is yes. Nature uses hypnotic rhythm to make one's dominant thoughts and one's thought habits permanent. And we talk about this and we see this on a daily basis. We see this on a daily basis when it comes to, how a person is raised, the environment someone is brought up in. A lot of people blame their environment and their surroundings for the reasons that they can't achieve something. However, there are a few people that can break that hypnotic rhythm, that can break that negative thought pattern and to go into something positive. And it usually takes an outside influence in doing so. And also takes a desire to get out of that pattern that they're in. Now, this can work both ways. Someone can be in a hypnotic rhythm of just doing something automatic on a higher level, whether it be a higher income level or a higher educational level, or someone can do it on a lower level towards the negative. The difference is a lot of people can drift off into the negative and go so far into drifting that they don't, how can I put it, ever get out of it. They don't ever get out of it. They wind up doing it for the remainder of their lives, and they don't think to do anything else. That's why I always focus on, the biblical verse, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. It's all about how you think about yourself, how you view yourself. The physical things that control, how you think. The emotional things and the people who are around you who shape the way you think, who shape the way that you believe. This is why I feel like it's important to have independence of thought, because I feel like there's so many of us that are just going with the flow of drifting, just drifting off into that hypnotic rhythm. And either going to drift towards something more positive or you're going to drift towards something more negative. And it is up to you to make the decision, because one power that you do have, whether you believe it or not, is the power to control your own mind, the power in believing in choosing to believe what is true about you instead of, what people say is true about you. It's so sad and so unfortunate that a parent can have a negative outlook or a negative influence on their child. but it happens so many times. But so many children that ask the question, well, wait a minute, if this is what they're saying, how do I get out of this pattern? Because I want to prove them wrong. Well, that's good. Some parents actually teach their children in that way, hoping that their children would have a desire to prove them wrong. But it doesn't always work out that way. It doesn't always work out that way. I feel like it's always good to encourage, but I also feel like in the same aspect, it's not a good idea to just hand everything to your children. I feel like, we need to guide our children in educating them on the dangers of society, not from the state of fear, but to the state of fielding and controlling those dangers. Because at the end of the day, yeah, we want to protect our children, but we can't protect our children from everything, and that in itself is unfortunate. Yes, as I've said it before, we need to be able to prepare our children by the time that they're 13, 14 at the latest to be able to handle themselves on their own if God forbid something happens to one of you. As far as the book is concerned, the interview is quite interesting. The interview is more focused on the negative aspects of how an individual thinks. He's not actually interviewing a devil, but it's the negative aspects of what we think about ourselves. It's the negative construct that we've built about ourselves in our own mind. And him in this interview is showing us a way to get over that, to overcome these things. I don't believe that it is necromancing. And if you don't know what that means, look up the word. I'm not going to get into it right now. Although he did speak about that. What I will get into right now is something else. What I told you in regards to this book, it is definitely from my point of view. I want you to all get into the book, listen to the book. Listen to it, I suggest, on YouTube. I don't suggest to listen to it with the added commentary, because the added commentary by Sharon Lecture is no more than the added commentary by myself. With constant interruptions into the interview, it gives you a hard time to absorb the information and have a understanding of how to deal with these situations on your own, because you're dealing with it from another point of view. You're dealing with it from Sharon's point of view or from my point of view. I don't want you to do that. I want you to listen to it on your own and come up with your own conclusions to it. I would suggest listening to it, as far as the iterations are concerned, to listen to it 3 times a week, preferably Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I believe it's about 4 hours long if you listen to strictly the interview. If you want to listen to the added commentary with Sharon Lecter, you'll be looking at maybe about 8 hours long. And me personally, listening to just the interview first was enough to open up my mind and look at myself and reflect on how I was doing things. Not giving a definition of what Napoleon Hill was trying to do, but seeing what I was doing in my life and the choices that I were making in my life. This is really important. This is a key, because if it can help you do the same thing, it can help you overcome your fears. That is something that I am in firm belief with. Overcoming your fears. Do not allow anyone else to instill their fears in you, and do not get into the habit of having fears or being fearful of taking chances with anything in life. I feel like too many people do that, and I feel like there are too many ideas and too many innovations in life that are in the graveyard, and it is unfortunate. But eventually someone else comes up with it, eventually. But I believe had they not been, then we would be so much more advanced as a society. It would be almost unbelievable how advanced we would be. But that's all I wanted to talk to you about. Read the book 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Do it throughout the course of your day. I would suggest not necessarily, listening to it subconsciously while you sleep, but if you feel as though it will help, then feel free to add that into there. But if you can do it during your lunch break, If you can do it on your commute to work, I feel like that would be a great thing to do. And I feel like this book definitely will help you reflect on your life and a lot of the choices that you've made, and you will work diligently to break a lot of the negative habits that were formed in you. And you will start to look at yourself in the way that you think about yourself, in the good and bad that is within you, a lot differently. But that's all I wanted to talk about today in regards to the book. If there is any other questions, concerns, funny stories, anything you'd like to add, feel free to put it in the comments. If you like, feel free to hit the likes button. And if you dislike, make sure you write dislike in the comments, timestamp it, and tell me why. May everybody have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening.